kind words. However, I would say to you that you only get lucky, I think, twice in Primera. Great job. You only get lucky twice. You may appear to be lucky other times, but you put a lot of effort in for that luck to happen, right? And so one of them is when somebody invites you to a meeting. I was very fortunate, right? Because if I didn't know, what if somebody hadn't invited me? Maybe I'd have done other things, maybe somebody else had invited me. You always think, well, somebody invited me. Well, not the way I look. I mean, I was broke, busted, and disgusted. You know what I mean? So it's like, it wasn't like I was the shining, that guy's gonna win, right? And I assure you, if you lined me up 40 years ago with everybody that got hired that night, I was not the one they thought would be the one. What was the difference? I thought I was. I thought I was. Now, I didn't know, but I believed. And I knew that I could do the things required. We talked about it earlier about that. So that's number one. Number two is the other time you get lucky is you guys are lucky right now. And I understand when you grow up rich, you think everybody's rich. You know they're not, but you think. Well, it could be the same. When I say rich, it could be rich in a lot of ways. Money, love, family, whatever, right? And that is, you guys, honestly, are in the best environment with the best leadership in the DC metropolitan area at this moment, in this time, in the building process. They're all the leaders, and they're successful, but you guys are at the epicenter, literally, of the environment and the leadership that's engaged. It's because I would submit to you that there are probably other meetings going on in Virginia today, but they don't have this happen. Now, does that mean they can't win? Of course not. But can they, in Primerica, you see leadership, you see these things, but the ability to have that in your face. Most people don't know what a winning locker room looks like in sports. Like a real winning champion, would you agree?
Yeah.
Why? Because they've never been there. How hard is it to build an environment if the team hasn't won? And a coach comes in, he has to now build that environment, right? It's pretty difficult. Can it be done? It happens all the time. But it's a little bit heavier lift, would you agree? So the one thing that, without a doubt, that I know you're fortunate, lucky, whatever you want to call that, is you're in an environment that does exactly what the people that are super successful do. Their own way, their own style, their own thing. How do you know that? First of all, they're winning. How else do you know that? Other people are winning. Now, when I came in, that didn't exist. I had to develop that, which took more years. So, does it make it easier? No, it makes you can accelerate. Because if there is no environment, guess what you have to build first? An environment. One at a time, slow, blah, 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 all those things, right? When you walk into one, it's a multiplying factor. It doesn't mean you have to work, you're not going to work less hard. You're just going to get more for your effort because you're leveraging the success of others. God, that's awesome. Leverage is a massive thing. If people have a lot of money, they can what? Leverage it to make more money. When people have a business, they can leverage it to buy other businesses. You get to leverage everything, the office, everything, the first-class environment. Okay, now, for the 80% that are going to quit, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they grew up with it. They're going to quit. Why do they quit? As I mentioned a bit earlier when we were talking. Simple rule. There's some things that I'd like to, for those of you who are going to work, show up, fight. Primerica's not happening to you, it's happening for you. There's something you have to learn. And by the way, this business will put it right in your face. It'll show you people that are doing it, and then you got to go look in the mirror. Fair? I mean, it will. It's a very pure model. It doesn't matter where you came from, who your mama is, who your daddy is, your mama didn't love you, you got problems, you know. Okay, great. Level playing field. It's awesome. But you got to come with that. So the Pareto principle is 20% of the people do 80% of the work. Pareto principle. It applies to everything that's been around for 100 years. If you look at 20% of people do 80% of the work. If you take a group of anybody, like on a football team, there's 45 dressed. Usually if a team kicks ass, they got at least 5 in the Pro Bowl. What number is that? About 20%, right? I mean, 8, 6, 7. You line it up, it's about 20%. Why? Because you have to have people that are winning and help the team to win. Agree? If somebody has nobody in the Pro Bowl, it's pretty hard for them to win. Usually the team that ends up in the playoffs in NBA, somebody is what? The MVP of the league. Not always, but does it help? Of course it does. Does it make people have to work less? No. You just get more for it. I'm just telling you that I've seen a ton of offices. I've been around a lot of people. And the toughest thing to do is to start with nothing in the beginning and build an environment. And that's what people do. To walk into the environment where you get to leverage all the success and all that, all you have to do is focus on you. That is a benefit that doesn't make it easier. What does it do? It makes your success faster. Because you compound it, you get around it, you get to leverage it, all those things. So, and a lot of people don't realize that, because if you're here, this is all you know. You gotta look at, you gotta say, wow, fortunate somebody said something to me. And I was very fortunate in this environment. It's all up to me now, but I've got everything that could have been given to me to take the shot. Now it's up to me. That's fine. So, where's the slide? You got this? I'll just start off because some of you, okay, that's when I started Primerica, that's where I lived. That's no joke. That was the door. That's the insulation, which should have been on the inside. What do you want for $80 a month, right? Literally, I lived there for 2 years. That's the door. That's literally the door. No joke. I was 22, broke, just moved here. My parents, it's not good or bad. People do what they got to do. But I wasn't running towards something. I was running away from something in the beginning. Until I figured out what, I figured out in my life that if I did about 180 degrees different than everybody mostly around me, I'm going to be okay. Not because I hate me, I'm not knocking any of that, right? I'm a product of, like we're all a product of what we saw. So that's where I was. That's when I joined the business. Christian David, who is, Christian's been around a long time, makes millions. He came to that door for an interview. Raul brought it. And why did he do that? I don't know, because I didn't know any better. I didn't care. I never looked at where I was at. Would I rather than an office? I didn't have an office. Now, I had an office, but it was in Virginia, and we were in Maryland, and for a lot of people, that's 5,000 miles away. Right? It's like me flying here is then going to Maryland. So I point that out to you because everything I talk about after that. So what was constant with that? Primerica, A.L. Williams at the time, we did the right thing for people. I believed in that. I didn't need Primerica, $8 billion company. 2, I saw success. Not necessarily locally, but I traveled anywhere in the United States to see success. I was broke, but I'd get on a plane and I'd fly to California to see the best in the business. Why? Because I knew I need to mirror. And I knew because I don't have it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And a lot of times in business, you can't fly to the other corporate office to walk in and say, hey, what are you guys doing? I want to kick your ass. Right? It doesn't work that way, right? But in Primerica, they welcome you because if you flew in, you're probably a 20%er. Yeah. And they're okay with that because they want attitude like anything else. They don't override me, but my payment to them was to take what I was hearing for the first time and maybe not hear it again in 90 days because I wasn't around them, to go and kick butt so they can say, see that dude who came in here, they didn't know nothing? He took what we just taught him and he kicked your ass. That's what I could do for them. I could give back that way. So I was an obligation for me. If I went to visit somebody and they let me in that door, and everybody at Primerica pretty much does, and I'd show up. And so my point is, environment, check. Already, it's a Primerica, check. What we do, check. Same. It hasn't changed. We're changed. We're better products, but it hasn't changed. Buy term invest difference, do what's right for people, help them get financially independent, Awesome. Loved it. The second thing besides that was when they came in, and of course we had that. And the other thing that has changed, but only for the better, is the compensation. Okay? When I say the compensation is better today than when I was in your seat, it's ridiculous. Is that going to make a 80% or a 20%? No. Because you can't change that. Why? Because it's here. It's not outside. It's how they think. It's how they talk. Show up to everything. We talked about earlier. I said, man, the only thing I did right is I showed up to everything. When I say show up to everything, I'm not it's all I knew that I could do. And that was for 7 years from the time I did my IBA, I never missed a meeting. Why? Because that's all I had. And then when I started to get better at the business early on, I realized that if I didn't show, nobody else would either. And I realized it was an example business. It wasn't a telling, it was coaching, but it's an example. And so when people don't show, the people don't show. Guess what? They'll never have people. Why? It's not fair. It's the way it is. That's our business model. And did a lot of people show they quit? Sure, but I was there. So I did that correctly. Another thing I did correctly was I was a maniac early on the numbers. I spoke to you guys earlier about that. The numbers. Because anytime you get frustrated at yourself, that's one thing, because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Okay, granted, we all get right. We slack. Okay, that's one set of things. But the other side of it was the numbers set you free. Because if you understand the numbers, then you're not emotional about the numbers. If you get emotional about the numbers, you're not going to make it here. Why? Because you take it personally when something happens. And you're confused, as I was. And I said, about time out. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know why your mama didn't love you. Okay? Or why you always had tough. I can't help you. I'm not a professional in that. And the minute you go into those conversations, guess what you are? A non-paid, non-professional. No, I'm not saying don't listen to me and have a conversation about life. But I mean, when that's the or marriage counselor. I didn't marry the person you married. Time out. I don't know why she doesn't like you. I don't know why she doesn't believe she's not showing up. I have no idea. I used to get into, well, you can talk to, and I realized, time out. I'm not a marriage counselor. Guess what I figured about that? The more money they make, the more they show. It's amazing how the spouse shows up when money comes in. It's stunning, isn't it? Because what they see, if they're not in it, what time out, I'm not a marriage counselor. I can't do it. I'm not a professional. I'm non-qualified, and I'm not going to get paid. Really. I mean, you got to be really careless, because as much as you got to focus, you got to unfocus on things you can't control. Because in the process of thinking about things you can't control, guess what you normally lose? Focus. And now you begin to look at all the things that don't work versus the thing that you can control, which is everything about you. Fair? And we're all weak. We're all going to the gym, 95-pound weaklings, most of us, in that scenario. But your brain, it's not a muscle, but you can build it like a muscle. And when you go in the gym, and you go in there, you've never been in the gym before, and you get in there, do you look like the Hulk in a week? 30 days? 90 days? What are you? Sore. Really? If you're working out, you're sore. First day you come back, you're like, I don't like this gym thing, right? I mean, it's terrible, right? And if you stop working out, and then you go back and work out, what are you? Sore. It's life, right? Just life, right? What's that? Your body telling you it needed to be worked out. Soreness is good. Pain, tearing something, okay, but soreness, awesome. That means your body broke down and now it can rebuild. You don't work out to build muscle, you work out to break it down, and your nutrition makes muscle. Same here. You come to this thing and you go through the things to break it down so you can get better at the things that matter, but it's very hard to do when you're focused on things that you can't control. What am I? I'm a winner. I'm an example. Best I could be at my stage. I'm going to show more than anybody around me. But that's what all people do. I don't have to be superhuman, but if I say show, I show. I'm in there early. I'm ready to go. Why? Why do I do that? Why did I do that? Because I could. I could control that. Did I have to change some habits? Of course. Did I have to? But I understood what my wheelhouse was until I could get better at everything. And guess what I found out? The more I showed, and the more I talked to people, and the more they showed, and guess what we'd end up with? Out of 10 people, who would say? 2. Why? It's a Pareto principle. It's human beings. If you're fighting human nature, you're dead. You're not going to change human nature. Human nature is everybody wants something, they just want to do what they have to do to get to it, most of them. They're here, they want to be here, but they don't want to do the stuff in between. I get it. Is that okay? Of course it's okay, because it's humans. Is it okay for me? No. It's not okay for me, but you will not change those people. Why? Because change is internal. It's not external. And you have to be motivated by something, and I spoke earlier about this. It's pain. Knowing is great. If I know more, I can change. Well, I didn't know Primerica. I saw it. That helped me, because I didn't have the vehicle, like you saw it. I cared enough. Well, I didn't have a family, but I cared enough about my parents, and I wanted to. Great. But even after both of that, you're like, get your butt kicked. And then at the end of the day, you decide you hurt enough. This is not hurt because of what I'm doing, but by not hitting the things I think are important in my life. And when you hurt enough, you change. Make sense? That's just life. That's not my opinion. That is how it works. Why? Because they're humans. And one thing you have to understand is human nature. I thought everybody was going to do it. I thought everybody I hired was going to be a vice president. I thought my three people that knew me and hung around me and we talked about winning, we'd go out and have a beer and say, we're going to kick ass. I couldn't find them in a week. But I thought they were in, because I was in. But our definition of in was far different. And when I found that out, guess what I realized? I can't do anything about that. What did I do wrong? Nothing. I show up. We had examples. We have great people. You guys got awesome leadership. But what I'm saying, when you unclutter your mind on what you can't control, guess what you get to focus on? What you can control. And if you get depressed or upset or Primerica works 100% of the time for our clients. Would you agree? Yes. Our compensation pays you 100% of the time you send a check to them. If your people send a check, they send you a check. That's called an override. Right? 100. I've been here 40 years. They've never missed a check. Never even screwed it up. Really, I can remember like anything. I mean, you send them a check, they send you a check. Pretty simple, right? What's the goal? Get more checks. It's pretty simple, right? It's not complicated. How do I do that, Bruce? You got to get more people because you need help. Because you're building wealth, but before you build wealth, you got to build a business. And the great news about Primerica is it requires no capital. Do you know how many people would love to own their own business? You say, why don't you own your own business? Well, I don't know what to do. Okay, what's that? I don't have any money. Yeah, well, that's the club. I don't know what to do, I have money. Primerica shows you what to do and finances you basically to pay all the people that you hire and train. So that's where I started. Are we okay? Yeah. Has anybody had a worse door than that? So please, I have no sympathy for people that have a better door than us. I have complete empathy because it's still hard to do. You with me? I feel you, man. Change is tough. All the things we're taught, but I'll do certain things. Okay, great. All right, second. So I got promoted. This is how we used to do the leader sheets. They were sent to us every 15th and the 30th. That's how you got it. 1987. Wow, I know. It's like you pull those things up, you're like, damn. I'm a numbers freak. Bruce, why'd you keep that? I like numbers. I mean, I've always been, the reason, like I told people, if people say I work out, and I say, yeah, kind of, I'm really into working out, it's great. I'm curious, right? And I say, so what are you doing? Well, I do this and that. If they can't show me the numbers of what they're working out, they ain't working out the way I work out. They say, I go to the gym. Can you go to the gym? Yeah. What if you're on your phone? Are you at the gym? Sure, but you're on your phone, right? And you see people, and I got no problem, I'm not muscling either, but they got their 25 pounds, and they're just on their phone with one hand, like looking at this. Okay, you're at the gym. You made it to the meeting, but that ain't going to grow nothing. And usually, when it doesn't grow or get better, what do people do? If you do something consistently, and you can't see in your mind's eye getting better, even incrementally, what do? You quit. Why? Because it doesn't work for you. So I believe people don't quit our business. They get cut by the process. Yeah. Very important. Yeah, like the best guy quit. No, he didn't. He got cut. The process cut him. What's the process? Showing up, getting better, build it, measure it, learn. That's what caused the problem. So if you get caught up and they quit, when you say that guy quit, how does that make you feel? When you hit, I got 3 guys, they quit. How do you feel? I feel awesome. I just feel so awesome when I say that. I'm here, they quit, and I feel like crap. Whoa, Bruce, these are adjustments that you make. And I realized, no, they didn't quit. They got cut. Just like any sports team, anything, if you don't go to practice on the high school team, what happens to you? They'll cut you. Why? Because they're mean? No, because without practice, we're not going to. That's your business. When I say this is how you work on this, because since most people don't get fired from Primerica, very few people ever get fired. I mean, you have to do something, right? You've got a lot of people. So most people, what? Quit. They quit, maybe low desire, maybe this, maybe that, maybe they quit everything in their life. I have no idea. Just tell people, if people go to church and then stop going, hey man, God has a ratio too. It ain't 100%. Okay? They were at church, they saw it, they listened, they heard, and all of a sudden they're out. I don't care. But it's true. Why? Because that's human nature. Primerica's different. Primerica's, it's the model's different. The compensation is different. But people, heck no. Do every company have more people applying than they're hiring? Yes. Why? Because they're cutting. Is that true? Yeah. Do people have an HR department at every company? Yeah. Why? To hire new people after people quit, fired, or leave. Yep. We say, well, that's weird. No, that's what you are. You are your HR department. But you can't make them. We don't pay them. So it's a volunteer army. Do you understand? Like, say the United States military, I don't care what your politics are, the military is badass. Okay, I mean, they're like the sharp, right? I don't care what you think about it. Those guys and men and women are good. And what are they? A volunteer army. Yeah. When you conscript and just make people go to war, it's not quite the same as people saying, I choose to get better, right? It's different. And that concerns death. You might feel like you're going to die, but you're not going to die in Primerica. You may feel like some days you don't feel like, damn it, I got my butt kicked this week, this month. Okay, so this was me, 1987. I got hired in 84. 6 months later, district leader. I mean, when I say there was nothing like the modeling you're seeing, that's why I appreciate it. They gave me the Virginia test to study for the Maryland license. And I failed the first time by 1 point. Wow. And I went back and said, why didn't you see all this stuff? Well, they didn't have the cover on there, right? It was Xerox, and that's what I studied. So I could be pissed off and mad. I was like irritated, and I said, you know what? The person that gave me that is making $130,000 a year. If she can make $130,000 and give me the wrong thing, I'm going to kill this thing. I swear to God, that was my first thought. And second thought was, no one ever hired will ever have that problem again. Right. So I built, did something, measured it, and learned. Yeah. Then adjusted. And a lot of these, like you go to the gym and you're working out, do you automatically say, well, that's pretty, I maxed out, it's the most I can do. Do you did put two 45-pound plates on and say, let me try this? Do you say that? No, because if you just maxed out without the 45-pound plates, that's going to be a difficult thing, right? Yeah. What do you put on? 5 pounds. Is that true? You put on 5, 2.5s, and you start breaking. Again, that's our business. It's not some sprint, though you have to sprint at it every day and work, but it's, I'm going to incrementally get better until it compounds out. If somebody has, let's say somebody's losing weight, and you haven't seen them in 90 days, and then they really had when you see them, you say, whoa. Would you agree that's not by accident? There's something happened those 90 days that I would. Some habit change. Would you agree? Why did it change? Because they had to. Because of their health, they needed to, they felt bad about themselves. Awesome. So when you start off, guess what? If you saw them the 3rd day, would you say, you haven't lost anything, man? I mean, nothing's different. Would you say that? No, you say, would you say it to anybody? Would you go to college student and say, well, you've been at this for a week. Graduated yet? When you get your degree. Is that what you said? No. Insane, right? But that's what you say to yourself. When you do, go find a tree and beat your head violently against it. Okay? Seriously. Because what it is, it's a thought process, and the greatest thing you'll change here is your thinking. That's what it is. That's what 6 inches right here. That's what it is. And that's incremental. And it's fighting limiting beliefs. Do you know how many limiting beliefs we all have? about money, about anything, about success, about making money, growing. How do I know they're limited? Because most people don't make any money. They work for money. But money never works for them. They work for people, but they don't have people working for them. I'm not saying managing people. I mean working for you. Is that true? Well, that's called your own business. Those are things that are alien. But when you hire somebody who's already done those things, they get like that. So that was a So that was it. So I'd been in RVP. Once again, they gave me the wrong time. It was just, so I got to RVP, you know, I did the guidelines, but I knew I was starting from scratch. So that was, so at 84, I became an RVP in middle of 85. In those days, you sent the contracts in. It was everything's mail, right? I mean, I remember going after that and said, man, where's my contract? I don't know. It was on top of the file cabinet. I forgot to send it. Literally. Contract. No wonder I'm not. They don't even know I'm RVP yet. Was I irritated? Sure, but I was like, I'll never do it. Damn. I can make $500 because I'm going to do the things that are important. You know, it's important things, right? I mean, just so then we went out with RVP, and so this was October of 1987. This was Maryland. We did 23,000 basically. Average face amount was 202. Why? Because it was lower face amounts. Our case count was 40. Why? Because our average transaction was $555. What's the average transaction check? 1,000. Right? Let's do the math. If it's 1,000 instead of 500, and your commission is X, do you make more?
Yes.
Hell yeah. So for that same block of business that I was barely cracking 100, the new comp, just what you have, what is it? It's 2. It's double the income for the same block of business. Now, am I mad about that? No, because to me, that was awesome. I didn't know any different. But to you, I'm talking to you, you say, well, is it better? Are you kidding me? Of course it's better. The product's better. The system's better. All those things are better by a factor of a lot. Does that change the 80%? No. Because it's better, I can recruit less. No, because you can't find the 20s by picking them. You put them in there, right? This goes back to recruiting. So why do you recruit? It's the law of humans. It's not Primerica. Bread principle, 4 Primerica, 1 Primerica. Okay, so to get 20, I got to hire 10, and to get 10, I get 2. But how do I hire 50? Get the 2, teach them how to do that, and now you're hiring 40, 50. And out of 50, what's 20% of 50? 10. That's how you get better people. What company in America doesn't hire better people? Right? The difference is they pay them. You don't pay them. Who pays them? Them. And who cuts the check? Primerica. So, give you an example. So anyway, that's where it was. So 4 agents, we weren't going to, that month was a low month. We just, we're figuring it all out, just like you guys. Without all this stuff. Now, here's what's interesting about that. That was 87. So from 87 to 90, 91. So in 1990, we went from that to 150,000 and 150 recruits a month. 1 year later, we went to 250 and 250. So, slow in the beginning, get your butt kicked, build, measure, learn, get better, bring more people in as I get better, and as I get better, they get better, and I know that I can't make people, so if I have to have some sort of machine that brings them in, so then let the system sort them out, not me sort them out. You don't sort people. Within reason, right? They have felony figure, but I'm just saying, but normally, you have no idea who's going to win. It has nothing to do with what they look like. Like Samir was saying, it's on the inside. It's on the inside, right? You don't know. So there to there, and that 250, that was 91. How many years ago was that? 35. That's a long time. It blows my mind, okay? Jeez, that was a long time. Seems like more than I. So how did that happen? Would you like to know? Would you like to know how it happened? Yes. Everybody, right? First of all,
a guy named Bob Turley, who's now passed away, now his kids took over his business, and he was making, when I came in, he was already making $1.5 million. I mean, his business was $3 million a year, and he's been paying him $3 million a year. He's no longer here.
Wow.
Is that changing a family legacy?
Nope.
But he said to me, we went to a place in Mark Island, one of those things, we're sitting around the table, I said, Bob, I'm not the big enchilada here, right? Obviously. I said, how do you get done? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, how do you know it's built? He said, oh, that's easy. It's $250,000 in premium. Now, we had less cases, so that means we had to do more cases, right? Your 250 is 250. My 250 was 400. Right? Difference in the premium, right? What's better, yours or mine? You want to trade? No. But he said 250, and he said, 250, but I'm at 22. How do I drive 250? He said, when you drive the recruits, and he didn't say it this way, he said, drive recruits and you get better inside the system. You get better, the systems get better, and you get more 20%ers around you. Why 20%? Because they're in it, everybody needs to be motivated a little bit, but they're self-motivated. By what? Their life, their goals, their dreams, their kids, their wife, their parents. They're sick of being broke. You can't give that to somebody. It's a gift that they're giving to you because we got the answer if you want to get down to this, right? But so the 250 came from the 250. Why? Because we didn't have enough to. I figured out. I don't know if it's different now. I think we're better. We have more premium, so it's not quite the same. But in my mind, to do 250,000, you need 250 people because somehow it's going to average about $1,000 in premium per recruit. Does that mean every recruit does 1,000? No. What percentage does it? 20%. Can I pick them? No. What can I do? Put the numbers in. And be free about it. Not just blow through people, not be cold to people, not just say, yeah, I don't care about you. Oh, I mean, you look at every single person that walks in the meeting, like you're going to be, I won't ever see you again. And you have a chance to be a vice president. That's the two bookends. Is that true?
Yeah.
100%. What's the difference? What's in between? What's in between? The habits they start to have or bring with them here. Because if they could make 100 or 250 or 500, guess what they already have? The habits and the thinking. It requires both. Nothing's built until it's built in your head. I mean, everything's built in your head first, on paper, something on like a computer, and then it's built in reality. Guess where most people never get it? Oh, but they don't get it in their head. You are pushed by your desires, your pain. That's what pushes you. What pulls you is the vision of what you can build. How do you know the vision? You say, what's that mean? It's in your head. You see it in your head. What do you know? You know the numbers. So somebody will say, well, you were doing 20,000. How could in 4 years? I didn't care about that. I wanted to hear this. It was my job to fill it in. Did I have a plan? It was real simple. I need 25 people that are full-time, that want to be vice presidents, that want to make it happen. Because 80% of the work in Primerica is done by what? Part-timers. No, I'm sorry, full-timers. Right? 80%. 20% of the work in Primerica is done by full-timers. 80% of the premium is full-time. Part-timers do 20%. So I don't like part-timers. I love part-timers. Because guess what? Before you go full-time, you can be part-time. So all those part-time people who are doing little, they wouldn't have a chance anyplace else because nobody would hire them. We love those people. It's our farming system. Can they be part-time forever? Absolutely. What's the difference between a part-time person and a spare-time person? Part-time person has a schedule. Yeah. Simple. They have a schedule. They show up to the meeting. They're going to work 3 hours a week. They're going to do certain things. They're going to be at the meeting. They're on. That's part-time. It's awesome. But you kill it in this business by full-time people. Not people that you make go full-time, not people that say I'm full-time, but people in their mind have got a vision that if I am part-time and I can do a little, when I'm full-time I can kill this thing. It's called confidence, right? I mean, if you do a little, faithful a little, you can be faithful a lot. So the part-time thing is really critical to find the what? 20 percenters. It's critical. And what's gonna be 80%? I don't care what your business looks like. Who's gonna do 80% of your business? Full-timers. What does that mean? People that have full-time? No, people that are skilled. People that close business. People that have a schedule. People that know the numbers. And I say know the numbers because whenever you get discouraged, trust me, you're trying to beat the numbers. You are. How do I know? Because I did. Because we all think we can beat them. But let me tell you something. Great news for you. You can't beat the numbers. But the numbers can't beat you. That's the beauty of this. But if you don't catch the other part, so what do I mean the numbers can't beat me? If you apply the numbers, I don't know how to do that yet. Build, measure, learn, get better. Just keep getting better. Increment, 2.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds. All of a sudden you wake up, you're like 60 days later, damn, man, what happened? Well, you've been in the gym. You're not advertising you're in the gym. You're in the gym, but you're in the mental gym. Okay? It's here. So 250, that has never gone down in 35 years. Everything I'm going to show you next is because of that run. Does that mean you have to do that time frame? No, but I came here and I said, Art Williams said, it takes 7 to 10 years to build something they'll pay you for the rest of your life. I'm 23. And I'm like, okay. He said 7 to 10 years, and it takes at least 10 plus committed full-time people. What does that mean? This is where it gets good. To count on someone, they have to be in the business 3 years. Not 30 days. That doesn't mean I don't believe in them. I'm just telling you, to put them as a check mark. And in those days, they had to make 50 grand. Because people that get compensated don't quit. Hey, I got a check for 10,000, I quit. That's not how it works. People quit because what? They think they're putting in effort and they're not getting paid. Now the problem is, most of them are not putting in the effort, it's not getting paid, it's not the truck, right? But that's what they see. So when I saw that, I said, okay, then being full-time for me was Art Williams, founder of the company. Okay, this guy, zillion people. Guess what? It doesn't change, right? If you believe, are people? Are people genetically different than they were 35 years ago, 40 years ago? Are human beings any different? No. Do we have more stuff, more technology, more crap, more phones, more this? Are we different? What?
Less patient.
Less patient, but are we still the same humans? Right? It's not like we're not like 400,000 years later, and well, humans are a little different, right? I mean, so it's the same. So when you do that, and you say, okay, that's what it was. Then I realized, okay, full time, been here 3 years, and make at least 50,000. But I think that's closer to 100 now because what? The comp's better. Congratulations, and proving that, right? The comp's better. Is 50,000 big? Sure. I think a goal is to make 50. Now, what if you want to make 2 grand? Make 2 grand. But when you start to get the system down, I don't care if it takes you a year, 2 years, and you start to, because to make 50, would you agree you have to be good? You don't have to be awesome, but you have to be good, right? But the great thing about that 50 is as you're learning that, people are behind you. And when you're good and getting better, they can be good and getting better. Especially if you're focused on the 20% that are actually showing all those things, not the ones that aren't there. Most of you spend way too much time thinking about the people who quit. And they're not thinking about you. I can help you. Okay? Just telling you, they're not thinking about you. So stop thinking about those who quit. Like this, what? That was a decision. And by the way, they didn't quit. They got cut. The system cut them. Just like high school football. Just like any sport, right? So 250, and then that's what it was. And I said, okay, 3 years, 50,000. So when I took that perspective, here's what happened. Here's my point about what's in your mind is what flows through. So if I would have said they're full-time and they're great and they're going to be one of my next RVPs and I have 7 to 10 of those people, what are they going to, then what would I think? I got it. Right? They're here. It's all done. I just got to keep sort of managing it. Hey, it's not how it works. Because what? They haven't been here 3 years and made 50 grand. That's a full-time. So what happened was, when I realized that conversation here, all I did was I said, okay, 3 or 4 years, I'm going to have so many full-timers making money. And when you make money, guess what you want to do? Make more of it. And when you make money, guess what you know? You can make money. Guess what you know? You can teach others. Now you're in the chance for what? Overrides. Real overrides. So in this period of time, I had tons of people that were trying out for the full-time team. What was the full-time team? Been here 3 years, make 50 grand. Why 3 years? Because it's like anything. Anything you start, you ever heard that it's true, that it takes 3 years for a business to become profitable?
3 to 5.
3 to 5, right?
3 to 5.
That's a fact. Why? It's a learning curve.
Right.
Everything's a learning curve. Is that true for businesses?
Yeah.
Is that true for you?
Yeah.
Because it's true for people.
Yeah.
And the only reason you wouldn't continue to do that is if you weren't making money. So you've been here 3 years and made nothing, this doesn't work. So you're supposed to make money. You're just not going to get super wealthy yet. Because why? It requires people that know what they're doing, and that takes time to do it. It's not, but you work hard every day. You show up every day. You add people every day. Because you never look and say, I got it. In 3 years, I'm going to look up, and I'm going to have 10 people making 50 grand, and that's going to be it. Because if I had that, I believe, and it came to be true, that I had 10 RVPs. Because no one quits at a regional leader or division making 50, because they, what do they know? They can be an RVP. And if they become an RVP, do the things required, what else do they know? They're going to double their income. So if they like it at 50, they're going to love it at 100. And if they can teach others, every time you teach somebody how to make 100, you make 100. That's how it works. It's called overrides. But you have to see, listen, you don't have to know all the, but you have to see it longer, because then you don't get upset about the little things. But at the same time, you have to, okay, you've got to work the business week to week and day to day like a sprinter. How does a sprinter practice? Sprinters, in your mind. Sprint, speed, fast, quick, right? How does a marathon practice?
Slow and steady.
Slow, steady. You've got to work weekly and daily and monthly like a sprinter. But your mentality is, I'm a marathoner. So that way you don't get caught, because if all you do is sprint, you get ups and downs, this kind of thing, right? And we all have downs, but the downs can't be here. They're just like, oh, like caught me. Yeah, that's right. But I understand the process. I understand the model. I understand what I'm doing. And by the way, you're making more money. The signal that you're doing the right things after you start to get in place is you're making more money. You still make 250, 300, more than you ever made before. It's a chance to make $1 million and walk away. Or whatever it is. Make sense?
Yeah.
So, most would say I can't do it. I didn't say can. I saw that, and I broke that down in what I thought that meant, and I asked Bob. I said, Bob, so I need 10 full-timers. Yeah, Art said 3 for 2. I knew it. Okay. Now that means, so I can't pick them too soon. Because when you pick them too soon, you stop picking people. Because it's easy to say, I got me somebody. You have no idea. Here's the worst thing you want to do is think you have somebody, and in 2 years, they're not somebody. They get divorced. They get sick. They just change their mind. They have problems. They get personal issues. They rob a bank. I don't know. Right? So now, guess what? You're not filling that pipeline. And now you got to start over again and over again. I say, I would do that. I would understand what it is. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep adding. And what's going to be harder? Your first person making 3 years, 50,000, or your last? No, what's harder? The first. So guess where all the learning curve is in this business? On the first. Everything. So that doesn't work. How many times did it? List my first. Welcome to the club. That's how it works. What are you good at? It's worth anything you can do the first time. Easy. And you're great at it. Nothing. So you know that, you know human nature. Now you don't plan for that. What you say is, I'm going to long haul. Art Weeb said 7 to 10 years. So I thought, well, 7. Show me the numbers. What if you completely screw it up? You do half. Miserable. Sorry. What do you make? $500,000. You understand what I'm saying? It's not an all or nothing thing. What if you're just kind of okay at it and you lose? Yeah, I mean, you're making 250. And a lot of that's in overrides. Did you win? Yeah. Some people win. He's making 80 to replace their income. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Like, I had guys that hired all the time that replaced their income. That's what they did. And that's all they want to do. I'm happy with that. If they weren't upset that 80 grand was enough, I'm not going to make them upset. I'm looking for the people who are looking that are upset because they like to make 20 grand a month. By the way, your life really starts changing at 20 grand a month. At 20 grand a month, the equation in your life changes. And you say, now, when I was starting to live in that place, 3,000 a month changed your place, okay? But I mean, really changed. When you are now able to do things that people say, holy crap, what's happened? Starts at 20 grand a month. So by that calculation, that means to do that, what would you need to be? Well, 20 grand a month in our business is like 50 grand, 40 grand, probably 40, right? 40,000 premium. We had to do so much more to do that, and that was bad, but it was good because it made us do more, and more was better versus just enough. Okay, next one, real quick. All right, so look, this is what it is. You know, these are my 1099. People say, what do you make my? Okay, this is how I get paid primarily. Would you like to know?
Yeah.
This is all overrides, but why did this happen? Because I worked on me, I got in the gym, I added 2.5 pound weights, and I kept at it. So let's go. This doesn't include like a sort of bonus, but this is $1.7 million. That's why 1099. Okay? And so agents earns $489,000. Next one. Earns is production, right? Life agent earns $800,000. Right? Why? Because where did that come from, Bruce? 2,000 people. Do you have to have 2,000? No, there's a lot of people who do it less, but mine is passive. The first million I made was not passive, but as I kept building, it became more passive. Is that a good model?
Yes.
I mean, I was very happy with the first million. Okay, but I saw that I didn't have to do the same thing. Most people that make $1 million, $500,000 in a company, their ass is to the wall every day. Because there's no way a company's going to pay them for that kind of money unless they're in it 24/7 all the time. Their only game plan is to save money and retire. Because most people live on what they make. Okay, so 809, 104, which is light. Okay, good. Next one. Thanks, James. Variable annuities. You know what I mean? Okay, you know how many times, the last time I did an application for insurance, the last time I did an application for any of this stuff, was probably 2005. What did I do before 2005? Everything. Why did I do it? Because I believed, and I saw the numbers, that if I did enough, I wouldn't have to do it anymore. Sometimes I didn't believe in me, but I always believed in the system. I always believed it would pay if I did my work. Always. I never doubted that. That's like somebody does it, hit the road. We're an $8 billion company, we pay tons of people, millions of, we publish our incomes. Stop. Doubt you, I get it. Doubt the system, now you're looking for a reason to not work. Or not do us. It may be something else for you, right? I'm not upset about that. If you get upset about people quit, it's you needed them. If you get upset when people quit, I needed them to do something. And I realized, no, I want to have so many people that it doesn't matter who quits, somebody does it, and I don't need anybody, but I want everybody. Totally different, right? You see what's in your head? So 20, like, these are long-term care. PLP. Very vivid. Like the alarm systems. All right, pay me 20. Fine. Somebody does vivid in my area. God bless them. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, I'm incorporating code is something you do, but so 13,000 more vivid. 196,000, another variable annuities, another index, something else, okay? 18,000 for auto and home. I mean, $1,800. How did I do that? Long-term health care, $17.50, I'll take it, right? I mean, it's not our market for us, right? But I'm just kidding. So, but if they keep track of $17.50, guess what they know? What you know. They know. I'm glad somebody's keeping track of it. Go on, next one. Is that it? Okay, so that's $1.7 million. That's $140,000 a month. That's $5,000 a day. But my eyes, it's $5,000. My wife's got pretty skilled at whittling that down. And my kids.
like everybody, right? But my point is, that's the end game. Eddie, where's Eddie? Is Eddie? Ed, I asked you a question, and I'll close on this. I think this is really important. Eddie's stud, he's kicking butt, he's a division, right? Doing great things. Had a lot of people here, right? You're the top people. Okay. So my question to Eddie was, okay, Eddie, you're a division. Okay? What does that mean? And he goes, well, I said, what'd you have to do to be a division? 2 districts, what's it, 7,500? I don't know what right? It's 2 districts and 7,500, right? Is that what it is? 5,000, okay, 5,000, okay. The 5,000 is not as important as the 2 districts. The numbers are important, and you gotta do it, and you wanna do more, but 5,000 is a what? Minimum. Remember, everything they tell you is a minimum. So if you wanna shoot for the minimums, knock yourself out. Why could you do more? Because the districts help you. The greatest promotion, 50% of me being in Prime America today was I was promoted to district leader. I promoted myself. That's what you do, right? Because when I did that, I realized what? I could do it. 99% of people quit before they go to what? District leader. Why? Because they've proven that it what? Doesn't work. To themselves. Not to me, not to them, I mean to the family, to them. Okay, so 50% is getting to district leader. Why? Licenses, you're out in the field, you see it work, you hired a couple people. Does that mean what's missing? The other 50%. But we agree you have to get the first 50% before you can earn the right for the next 50%. So that's why district leader is such a critical thing. Most people who go to district leader stick around longer. That's how it works. Not forever, because they're still what? Part-time. And maybe they have other things. It's not because they don't like you, they have other things that they're doing. Like a job. Right? They don't hate their job enough. When you hate your job enough, you do amazing things when you hate your job. Okay? You just got to prove you can do it. But the second part of that 50%, I was telling you, is, in my opinion, is division. And I'll explain to you why that works. This is how simple the business is. We have compensation. You need to, I think you need to know the numbers if you're in this room right here. You don't have to know every number, you don't have to know minutiae, but you need to understand, because once you do, you will sell yourself a win. So for him to go to division, you have to have 2 districts, right, Eddie? 2 districts means that's 2 people in your system, in what you're doing, as you're learning, as you're getting better, that can go out and put their name on an application, help clients without you being there, right? That's the beginning of override wealth. Why? Because every promotion that you'll ever have on this business will be determined by how well your system produces district leaders. Do we still suffer from 80% 20 rule? Yes. Right? Still 80% 20. There's be 20%, 80% of the district, 20% of the districts do 80% of the work. Okay, great. That's okay. But when you, and I asked Eddie, I said, Eddie, so what's it going to take to be a regional? Right? I think I said, right? And he said, well, I'm not sure. Is that what they said, right? And by the way, that's what most people say. No, you must be sure. Why? Because what you're placing in your mind is the numbers. So if Eddie can do 2 districts, to go to regional, you have to do 4 districts, right?
Yeah.
2 more. What have you proven to yourself already? That you can do 2.
Yeah.
To be a vice president, overall guidelines, right? Everybody does production, but it's 6 districts. Why do you want to be a vice president? Because it's the highest contract. It's your business. And now you have a chance to produce vice presidents, which is wealth. So 2 districts, he sees the 2 districts, and then it's like, okay, so I said, Eddie, you need to know that. And you need to, I said, what's it take to be an RVP? I said, I'm not sure. Figure it out. That's pulling yourself towards a goal that you could hit versus pushing yourself towards it, right? The more you, for example, if I said to you, how do you make $100,000 in Prime America? You're brand new. They told me this really early, and I'm telling you, I'm grateful. How do you make $100,000? I didn't know how to make $100,000. And they said, and they drew out a napkin, literally drew it out. And it was me, I had 5 people, I did 5 sales, they were doing 6, 8 sales, but together we had 30, 40 sales, and that's how they did it, right? You know what I knew? That made sense. I understood the percentage and all, but that's how you make and so it was so clear in my mind that I wasn't stopping until I understood, bring people in, find the people that rise to the creek, keep adding them, and if you're an RVP, how do you become an SVP? I know this is, he said, don't talk about it. Wait a minute, how do you become SVP? 3 RVPs. How do you get 3 RVPs? You gotta have
probably 5, 10 regional managers who want to be RVPs. Would you agree with that? Why do they want to be RVPs? Because they know they can do it. Because what have they produced? Districts. Do you understand? NSD is 6 RVPs. SNSD is 9 RVPs. Every one of those are predicated on 2 things happening. You go to district, and you can build a system that produces district. Do you understand that? I know how to be an SNSD. Sure you do. Produce districts, get the vice president, promote RVPs, teach them how to get to district. Why district? Because that's where you have some self-autonomy. When do you really dump into people? Really all out when they go to division. Why? Because they've proven they can duplicate. Is that true? They have the ability. They're showing up. They're probably doing life. What if they quit? Is it possible? Sure. What they quit is they got cut for whatever reason. What's left? 2 districts that I'll direct to you. I don't want them to quit, but now they quit and I just got wider. I want them to stay, but I can't control them quitting, right? So what if our regional manager quits? People quit, like, I got 4 district leaders and now I got 4 more shots at getting divisions who can be RVP. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he said, I don't care about that. You want to make $1 million? I didn't care about that, but I care about making $1 million. They said, well, you got to have 7 to 10 RVPs. Well, I know how to do that, but I have this. And I backed it down just till it became digestible to me daily what I had to do. Because if you're thinking about 15 different things, what's the most important thing? You show up, you work on yourself, you build, measure, learn, you get better, you get people on board, people go to district, and bam, now you produce districts. If that's not happening, what do you got to do? Build, measure, learn, adjust. And it's usually, what's happening is, usually you're spending too much time with the ones that aren't going to do it. And you think you have what you don't, which is just human nature, and you're not continuing to add to it because you never know to what you know. Good rule of thumb, I've had no one, almost no one, quit that has been here 3 years, made 50 grand. Ever. All of them became vice presidents that were direct me, and all of them went on to make massive money. Millions, saved millions. Crazy. Okay? So one of the exercises I want you to do is I want you to sit down by yourself and see, how do I make 100 grand? Brand new, I don't care. How do I make 100? If you can't put it on a napkin like that, you're overcomplicating. If you can't say, all I need is, I need 3 people, but if I train and develop 5 people and I have 6 of those, that's 100 grand. I can do that. The comp, you might say, well, the commission here, do a little override. Before you're going to get an override, you're going to see an override. So I have some people, I never got any overrides. I said, when's the last time you wrote one down? What do you mean? I said, when's the last time you actually saw how that works in your head? Well, I didn't. So you didn't build it in your mind. You didn't put it on paper. How's it going to happen? Are this simple? Yes. Most people don't do it. And every time in closing I got depressed, every time. We all get our butts kicked, okay? That's life. What does it mean? I got to learn something. That's what it means. I got my butt kicked. I got to learn something. I thought something wasn't so. Every time I sat down and would write, well, I was making 100. So how do I make 250? And I'd write that down. I could have 3 RVPs, those in, and write down. When I finished writing that down in 5-10 minutes, guess who was really sure that I could do that? Me. I was back in gear. It's great to be motivated. It's great to be pumped up. It's great for your upline to tell you. It's great for everybody. It's much more important that you tell you a believable story based on numbers and facts. And it happens all over this country. Stretch. And when you do that, what happens is, okay, listen, when you think that way, guess what you're pulling towards people towards? Not pushing, you're pulling towards. Full time. Why? Because you're looking for people that want to be vice presidents to make money. You're talking about what you're not making, but you're having that conversation early because they see why you're having that conversation. Because I needed vice presidents, man. And no one goes from part-time to vice president. Have you figured that out? What's the control mechanism? Full-time. When give you full-time? If you can replace your income or come close to it, prove it, you can prove to yourself you can go full-time. And it starts also when you can hire people. It's division. Somewhere between division and regional. So if somebody says, I'm a district, great, how you get to division? Not because it's a title. It is, but it's because it means something to how you think about your business and overrides. And I don't know anybody, honestly, in the business that is successful, that's kicked ass, that didn't do something like this to continue to build in their mind, right, I mean, if you're working out, you look at pictures of scrawny people. Honestly, you look at it and say, well, I can't wait to do that. You look at people that are what? Buff, bigger, stronger, whatever your thing is, faster, whatever it's track, right? That's what you're doing to yourself. And then people start to copy that. So all of a sudden you've got 5 or 6 people that get down and say, hey man, I had a tough day. I said, really, let's sit down. Show me how you're gonna make it happen. That was my motivational talk. And they go, I don't want that. I said, you can do that, right? Yeah, I can do it. Is it worth quitting? No. Okay, let's get to work. Instead of a half an hour of you're the greatest, sometimes you need that, right? But it's not. That's building a motivational business. And I'd rather be an income-driven, people-growing business. Okay? Make sense? I know you will. All right, that's good. Guys, we're done. Thank you, guys.